Hey guys, Shorpy Cooler here, and this is a bit of a progress update video on my trading card game, Creatures of Battle. I'm going to be showing you everything I've done in this week, and it's quite a bit. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. I'm going to start off with the actual cards. Obviously, if you saw the first video, then we had... Oh, this is one of the new cards that I'm making. But they look something like this. And these were just for testing purposes, so I could actually balance the cards decently well. But this is how I've drawn them up. You could... I wouldn't say it's the final design, I'd put a bit of an asterisk there. I've been making multiple copies of these, giving them out to people, and it's how the game is mostly going to be played. But I might... which means I probably will eventually make a digital version of this and sell that on the Game Crafter. But let's just get into the cards. So first we have Mini Drake. I know the name is questionable. I can't remember whether or not I said in the other one, but the original name I thought of was Diddy Drake. It would have been even worse, and I just couldn't allow that. It's just meant to be a small dragon. It's kind of annoying that that name's just stained by the actions of those musicians, but whatever. So yeah, you can see here it's got the fire element. It's a pretty basic dragon. Background there, stats are here, power, HP, and speed. It's got 2 attacks, Ember and Slash. Ember is a basic fire attack, so use your power stat. If your enemy is weak to fire, it does 200 instead of 100. Slash does 50 more damage, so you do 150, but it has no element, so it can't hit anything for super effective. The small dragons had to grow into enormous beasts. That's just a description of the card. I briefly showed the back of it already. Next up we have Shroom Doom. The idea of this one was actually suggested by someone in my tutor group at school. It's just a mushroom that, well, it explodes and shoots out a bunch of spores. Doing so causes 100 damage, which it can survive, but it can only use the attack once. I had to make it that way because when I was testing this, before then, you could detonate it twice, allowing this card to do a total of 30 damage. Sorry, 300 damage. Which means you could... No, okay, you wouldn't be able to take out a Snowtle with this, because it would take you out after it's used Spore Burst, after you've used Spore Burst the first time. But if you one-shot an enemy with Spore Burst, you could then one-shot Suicide Bomb the next enemy. So that was really powerful. So I nerfed it a bit. So it can only be used once. Then you can only use Sprout. There's some strategy to it. Maybe you want to use Sprout in your first turn when you go in. It's got a pretty decent speed of 150. That's the same as Mini Drake. Next up we have Impwhale. It's admittedly just a fairly basic one. It's just a whale, but with like these 2 horns. It's not based on a narwhal. It's kind of based on this whale plushie, but I just gave it 2 horns because I don't know. It's just got Squirt and Iron Slam, basic water attack and basic metal attack, so it has a bit of type coverage. This is the first card you're seeing that with, but a lot of them will have 2 moves of different types, so they can get a bit more utility. You'll see those ones that just slipped out the back there in a bit. Pretty decent stats, 100 power, 250 HP, 50 speed. I think all these have actually had a different stat total. No, they haven't. 400, 350, 400, yeah, okay. Some of them have 450 as their stat total. But stat totals can be a bit misleading sometimes. You'll see that later on. Like, for example, Shroom Doom is highly useful, despite having only 350 as its stat total. Bouldevine. Pretty standard card. 150 power, 200 HP, and 50 speed. Now, just comparing it to this other card here, which has pretty much the same stats, except with 200 power instead of 150, you may think that card's instantly better. Bouldevine has a slight advantage in its second move, Crush. Instantly kill any enemy with 100 or less health, and always goes first. This attack will fail if the enemy has more than 100 health. So if you use that as your move when first sending the card out, you're taking a massive gamble as to which of the enemy's cards they actually send out. But overall, just a pretty good card. I really like how its design turned out and how the background looks, like the layers of mud. I'm happy with it. Tabzap. I came up with a design for this one because I realised I was drawing way too many reptiles and I needed a mammal. So I had a few drafts of the idea of a cat with like these two kind of electric poles for a tail that have like energy between them. So one acts as a lightning rod and then it charges the energy up. You can see it's got these little lightning bolts of its fur. Those aren't on this one, which is the original print of the card, which I keep them in these rows of 3 so I can print them 6 at a time. I have to add in a bit more colour after I photocopy them, because that's just how it is. The colour doesn't fully go through when I photocopy. And I add different patterns of the sparks to each Tabzap. I think it kind of makes them a bit more unique, and I think it's kind of a fun thing. Like, one of them's just got a massive lightning bolt there, this one's just got a few small ones. Anyway. Oh yeah, its attack's just Spark and Shadow Claw, because cats definitely like using their claws. It's got 200 speed, and so does this one here, Teraplume. These two have the same speed. What happens in that situation when they both have the same speed? Because normally the quick one attacks first. You flip a coin and you just try and call who's going to win. So, both these are capable of taking the other one out in one shot. Teraplume with Gust can just take out Tabzap with 100 damage against 100 health. Tabzap with Spark would hit it for 200, which would take out Teraplume's 150. Looking at this, Tabzap does actually just have a lower stat total than Teraplume. But I find them both being pretty useful. This is Teraplume, it's kind of a mix of a... It was kind of meant to be a mix of a bird and like a pterosaur, but it just very much leans onto the bird side. I like how it looks. A decent background, some very subtle blue shading on it. Speaking of subtle blue shading, we got Snowtle. Snow Turtle. He's got a snow globe on its back. I was kind of riffing on the idea of a world turtle, so like a turtle with like an island on its back, and thought, what if I made the world on its back inside a snow globe? So its description says, small creatures are said to inhabit its snow globe. That's great. It has 300 HP. It's the highest HP one so far. 450 stat total. Pretty good card. Iron Diver. This is probably the definition of just a mid card. It's not really that bad, it's not really that good. It does have a 450 stat total. You don't really notice it all that much, because 100 speed is just like slightly below average, 100 power is bang average, and 250 HP is pretty high. But of course it's still 2 shots to either Tabzap or Mini Drake. And 100 power isn't enough to take out one very important card later on, meaning that this one gets one shot by it. Stelaworm. I really like this one. It's just this worm tunneling inside of an asteroid, so it kind of like loops around inside it. It's got 250 speed, so the fastest so far. 100 power, 50 health. It's also got a move called Collision, which does an extra 50... Oh, Iron Diver also has Collision. And because I made it a Stelaworm and then gave it to Iron Diver, Collision is a cosmic type move. 50 damage, take 50 damage. So it's suicide bombs, but you can take out a slightly stronger enemy. There's some situations where it's worth it. Anyway, this is a card I mentioned before, or I alluded to before. Wisp. 300 power, 150 health, 0 speed. Pretty much, it always gets outsped, but whoever can do 150 damage in one turn takes it out. It's weak to Shadow, but so I guess Tabzap could actually one-shot it as well by using Shadow Claw. Chimerasaur has 200 damage anyway, so that wouldn't really be that relevant. But it's a pretty interesting strategy, very much risk and reward. I think how a card deals with this very much determines how good it is. Here we have Mystelotl. It's, once again, a pretty basic design. It's just an axolotl with a wizard hat floating around and spirals everywhere. I accidentally drew a line there on its leg, which made it look like its leg was getting amputated, which actually works out pretty well for it, seeing as axolotls can regrow their limbs. I'm pretty happy with how the card turned out. It's got decent stats, it's kind of middle of the row. And, well, okay, I say that about a lot of cards, because none of them are truly bad or useless. Any card you get, you can do something with. Although, admittedly, this is a 350 stat total. So it's not the best. You could probably make some use of its coverage moves, being Arcane and Water. Then the last one, Chimerasaur. Crunch, Bulldoze, Shadow and Earth attacks. It's worth noting they all have one type, because element matchups just get really confusing otherwise. 200 power, 200 HP, 50 speed. It'll very likely get outsped, take a bunch of damage, then be able to take the enemy out with its retaliation. It was one of the fan favorite cards, but now I think Bouldevine is probably the most popular, which is honestly pretty cool. I'm kind of happy with how that design turned out. Actually, speaking of which, Bouldevine, its name's meant to be like boulder and bovine, like because bovine means cow, right? I thought bovine just meant any like large farm animal, so it's kind of meant to be a hog, or like a pig, that's sort of mixed with a bulldozer and to a certain extent a Protoceratops. So if I remade this card in a future card game, I'd probably call it Boulder Sign. So like, I think it's Bosine with a C for pigs. But either way, this is just the basic 12 cards that everyone gets. I think it's a pretty good set of them. Hello, random Pokemon card that I used as a ruler.
Cut. You recorded it all.
You can get out of the way. Right, I guess this is the next thing I'll show you, because I mentioned it a few times. These are the versions of the cards that I used to print more of them off, and it seems like I actually got something on Bouldevine, which is kind of annoying. But Teraplume, Tabzap, Bouldevine, you can see these ones, the colours are actually a lot more desaturated. That's probably a lot of the reason why they don't pick up that much on the printer. So the actual printed versions of them look a lot more vibrant because I add more colour in. Yeah, see, here we got Chimerasaur versus the version it's printed from. You can see it's a lot more pale in some areas. Past that with this, I don't know why I went so pale with it. And with these ones, it isn't as obvious in the text boxes. But some of the text boxes, like I think Mystelotl is actually the best example here. I went very light on them. See the comparison there? Because I was kind of scared that it would make the text unreadable if they were too dark. And we've got Wisp, Stelaworm, Snowtle, and Iron Diver. My later drawings of Snowtle, I've made him a lot more blue. You can hardly even see the blue on him here. He looks white. He's meant to be like a very light blue. Overall, I'm happy with that change. He does benefit a bit from having a bit more pale backgrounds here. It reads ice more clearly than the blue that I use in it. Then here we have Mini Drake, Impwhale, and Shroom Doom. Put those back there. These are some new cards I'm working on. See, we've got back rocks. This box here is actually different than the rest of them because it's got an ability. Cactop, Lightning Rod, Camelephant, Roadquill, and Alcobra. So, new cards! You also saw this one as well, which will become one of those eventually. I have the actual rules and type matchups written out. I normally include one of these with each one of the card packs I make for people. I'll show one of those on the screen if I haven't already. Type matchups. That's always on the back side of it, because it's just a really useful thing to have, because they're kind of hard to memorize. Being 12 types all interacting differently than how they do in other media. This is a notebook I've made just for kind of designing stuff to do with the game. There's a very basic drawing I put here on the front of Bouldevine. You can see he's got a way longer snout here. That's how I normally drew him, but when I drew it on the card I ended up making it shorter. Definitely reads a lot more different. I put section 1 because I'm probably going to plan other card games in here once I'm finished with COD. In another notebook, I had an earlier draft of this where Spirit and Metal didn't exist, and Arcane and Shadow had different names, because I was trying to make each of them start with a different letter. Shadow was called like Villainous. I don't know why I didn't call it Shadow then, actually. And then Arcane was called Heroic, so that A wouldn't be shared with A. But that doesn't really matter that much in the long term. These are some like drafts I had for the logo that ended up on the back of the card. This is some very basic ideas of how the card would actually look. This was the first idea. They were going to have 3 attacks. Very glad I didn't do that. It would have been very complicated and annoying. Coverage would be insane. This is pretty much what I went with here. Name, elements, stats, attacks, description, and the back was this, but I didn't have those all things on there. These are the early drafts for Shroom Doom and Bouldevine. Shroom Doom has very much changed. Currently drawing it. And there's a drawing of Shroom Doom later in this, which is what I'm considering using for the digital version. Because right now, he looks very pale, including on the cards as you probably saw before. So I'm going to try and make him stand out a bit more. This has kind of grown on me a bit. I think I just didn't really draw the diagonal very well on it, and that made me dislike it. See here, Crush was shown as a move with Earth type. I've removed that so people don't assume they can kill enemies like 200 or less if they're weak to Earth. Strangely enough, these are the 2 cards I've made golden versions of. Yeah, I just made them on golden backed paper, and I drew them in gold. Their stats are no different, it's just cosmetic. These are just some of the rough sketches that I've made for several different creatures here. We've got this little dragon guy that I just drew earlier today. And, actually if I can get it up, we got a slightly less chubby Chimerasaur. Snowtle also had a slightly longer neck in earlier drawings. Lightning Rod, as you'll see, it has longer legs here than here. The proportions just kind of end up changing a bit as I draw them. Like Antlight is now very much more hunched over. These were just where I was writing the stats on the cards. And then these are all designs for the next set that I've been working on. Not all of these before they get in. Slush here is just a kind of slimy blob hiding inside of a slushy cup. Got Elephant, Teraplume, Iguana, Alcobra, Rock Squid. I'm going to redesign it. It's meant to just be a squid made out of rocks. Roll screw on the mouth with your old like Mario type hills that are meant to be like shifting sand dunes. Lightning rod, this weird tree thing. Roadquill. And Uplink Bots, which is going to be a very interesting one to play with, because the way he's going to work, has worked in the test, is he has a move that called Signal, where he dies, and the card you place on top of it gains an extra 100 health. So, yeah, I think introducing abilities with some of these cards is going to be very fun. And then here I just have some slightly high quality drawings of them that I've coloured in with these felt pens. Got Shroom Doom and Mini Drake so far. That's about all for that. I think I've gone through everything here. I guess we'll just do a very brief demonstration of the game to show you how it looks with the cards. Just going to shuffle it around a bit. I should probably flip this stuff over just for a bit of visual, just so it's a bit less visually loud while you're trying to focus on this. The way I normally deal them is like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. But here I'm just going to show it as this, because why not? I don't think I've actually gotten either of these specific draws of cards before. I've been playing this with quite a few people now. Some people have been playing it with the packs I've given them, and playing with other people who I don't even know, so that's pretty cool. The game's spreading. I guess I just need to get a trusty 50p coin, for in case we have any equal speed matchups. I'm just going to do one round here. This player is just going to go with Chimerasaur with Crunch, because actually that didn't really hit anything wrong. So they're going to go with Chimerasaur with Bulldoze, because if they bring out Mini Drake, that's going to hit them with super effective. Oh, it doesn't even really matter, they have 200 attack power. Anyway, they're going to go with Chimerasaur. This person is going to go with... they're going to look at these. Mystelotl is one... All these would be... one-shot the Wisp, actually. Unless Mini Drake or Shroom Doom took it out in one hit. So I think they would go with... in case of it being Wisp, they'd go with Shroom Doom. I should probably move these back a bit so I can actually have a centre area. Shroom Doom and Chimerasaur. Shroom Doom outspeeds with Spore Burst. I was going to say that before, I just kind of forgot. Down to 50 health. Deals 150 damage. Chimerasaur's on 50. Strikes back. Shroom is doomed. Now they're left on only 50 health. They take the opportunity to send in that Mystelotl with Magic Pulse. Is super effective and could have one-shot Chimerasaur, but they just didn't predict that correctly. Magic Pulse 100 takes them out. Mystelotl's in. Looking at their attack power there, this player realises, hey, Wisp could survive in one shot. So out goes Wisp. Mystelotl outspeeds with 100 attack power. On either its attacks, it doesn't matter here. They're down to 50. Hit them for 300 and they are out. The opposing player then sends out their Mini Drake, because their only card left. Neither of their attacks are super effective and they're on 50 health anyway, so they're just going to go with Ember. They, once again, doesn't matter which of these attacks they go for, because everything is one shot at 300. So Mini Drake outspeeds, 100 damage, this Wisp is down, and they're in a pretty good position to go against Iron Diver, because Iron Diver is weak to fire. They're going to go with Ember again, 200 damage. Iron Diver is actually going to go with Collision, because it's a cosmic attack and will deal extra damage against Mini Drake. Mini Drake does outspeed though. 200 damage, sorry, 100 damage times 2, so 200. Attacks Iron Diver, down to 50, goes Collision, 100 damage times 2, because Cosmic beats Fire. Because, like, you can't have a fire in the vacuum space. And Mini Drake is down, but because it is 50 recoil damage, And I've actually took itself out, and that was a draw. I didn't really expect that, but that was pretty interesting. Yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more trading card game content, and have a good day.